All right, all right, all right. Hey, listen, thanks everybody for following us. This is day 3, man, of autism, ABCs of autism, right? Particularly after dealing with divorce and separation. Now we're dealing with the opportunity to raise our children with autism. And man, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but people are doing it. They're doing it amazingly. And our speaker over the last couple of days is proving that point. She's made all the things happen in her family, raising 2 dynamic sons and just hitting the ball out of the park, right? So she's been able to come to us talking about the A, B, C's of autism, and A being awareness, right? All the things around being aware, and then all the impact of all of the realities of that, right? As a family, if you're finding for the first time, you're in the doctor's office or you're making a phone call and you're talking to some people and then you start to recognize things, or you've been following it and you're wondering, all that stuff, becoming aware of it. And then, right, looking at some of the behaviorals on the B side, behavioral pieces and the modifications that are necessary, right? So awareness and behavior. Today, man, is the C piece. She wouldn't tell us yesterday, right? So I'm gonna let her tell you what it is. So I do see it, but I'm not gonna say what it is. I just want to thank everybody and thank our sponsor, Comeback King Enterprises, and host Comeback Conversations with Jeff International, whose mission is to highlight and amplify the message around the power of the comeback and the struggles through autism and the struggles through divorce. That, hey, listen, we know it's hard, we know it's difficult, we know it hurts, right? But we ask, like we have done, I have done, look at things in a different lens, right? See, amplify the message of this comebacks being the strength. And you'll hear it from Tiffany all the time, how those things made her so much stronger, how she was able to serve so many more people and show up for her family, right? So strength and courage, and master that stinking thinking, right? And become part of a community, right? No more isolation. So seeing the comebacks as a gift and a purpose and no longer a limitation. So anyway, let's get to it. Hey, you guys know who we're talking about. We're going to bring her up here one more time. And please, like you've been doing, drop some love in the comment section. Go to Conversations with Jeff. Subscribe, share, and like. And let's make sure you've been doing what you're doing, showing some love to our speaker, my friend and expert. I call her the Autism Ambassador, Tiffany Colvin.
Hello, we've made it through another day. We got some sunshine today.
Well, whether it's sunshine or not outside, you always bring it to the camera, so we appreciate that.
Yes,
great to see you.
Yes,
ma'am. Great to see you. So, and I know you heard I didn't tell us what the C was, even though I see it in front of me. So I know. It was tempting. Certainly tempting.
Yes.
So let's see how you talked about some fire stuff the last 2 days. Do you want to do a quick review, and let's do that, and then we'll jump right into what we got the message for today.
Yes. So we've been talking about the ABCs of autism. The A stands for autism, knowing what it is, what it looks like, its characteristics, understanding that it is a lifelong diagnosis. And so it is a lifelong journey. We also talked about the fact that it is a gift. It's like a gift that you get on Christmas. You know, it was delivered to your house. Santa Claus delivered this to your house. And so we don't want to give the gift away. What we want to do is we want to unwrap it daily. We want to make sure that we have the tools that we need, the resources that we need, the help that we need to go through this journey in life. And then we got to the B. The B was behavioral management. The strategies that we can utilize within the home in order to create structure, routineness, and to have expectations for our children or adults that have autism or any other disability. These goals that we have are things that are strategies that can be used not just for children with autism, but for every child, even adults with ADHD, those types of comorbid diagnosis. We want to incorporate those as well. Then we are now arriving at the C today. As we build our building blocks, we begin to build a foundation. And so that C is so important. So we're going to get to the C. The C for today is care planning. And so a lot of times people are like, what is care planning? That sounds so therapeutic. That sounds like something people who have case management backgrounds understand. Well, care management is basically understanding that you have to create a decision tree. You have to have things in place that you're going to implement to ensure that your child or loved one with a disability understands what is needed. And in the event that you're not there, you want to make sure that you have something in place so that if someone else needs to come in, let's say a caregiver, a respite care provider, they know what the expectations are in that household. And that is so important. So that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I mean, I love how you talked about the A's and the B's and care planning. What, I always like to kind of set the framework up. I mean, we talk about it, but what was the struggle like for you when you realized how important this piece of what discussion was? Maybe people can kind of say, oh yeah, that's me right now. Maybe help identify where they are around this, because it's different levels of it, I'm sure.
Yeah. I say C is for chaos. Sometimes, when we're going through it and we maybe don't have a diagnosis yet, we don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it takes years to get a proper diagnosis. In the meantime, in between time, these are some things, some strategies that you can use that are going to help, regardless of if they get a diagnosis of ADHD, if they get a diagnosis of some other disability. We want to make sure that we prepare ourselves in the meantime, in between time. And so what that looks like is, first of all, establishing some type of goals for that person with a disability. Whether it be, today they're going to learn, or this week or this month, we're going to work on tying our shoe. That's their goal. It doesn't have to be, becoming a nuclear physicist tomorrow. It can be something as simple as, wait a minute, today we're going to work on sitting for 1 minute. And so what you're going to do is you're going to use tools to help you do that. And part of that care plan is having those tools available.
And those tools, sometimes, from what I'm hearing and what I'm studying and what I see, sometimes the tools are kind of created through the journey.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I mean, there's some set tools that you can go and learn from and you teach, but some of the tools are so I guess I say that to not discredit yourself as a parent. Right.
Sure.
And even the child. I mean, I'm sure your boys probably brought you some things that you were like,
yeah,
you were able to incorporate there. Okay.
Yes. Something as simple as a timer, so that they know what the expectation is and you know what the expectation is. We're just going to do this for 1 minute. Make it a game, Don't make everything, it's got to be, education minded. Make it fun so that it's just something else that they can do. A lot of times children have issues with toilet training. And so I did not know how to do this with boys. So it was a learning experience for me. And so I talked to another parent that was like, hey, I use Cheerios. I use Cheerios. I make it a game. So don't be afraid to ask for help, because someone else has been there and done it. And so that's what we just want to incorporate, is understanding that there are interventions that can be done in the home that don't cost a lot of money, but that you get a serious return on this investment.
Yeah. And everything starts with a goal, with an intention, and some of the things that we'll be providing later on will be some in-depth ways to set some short, long-term, temporary, intermediate goals, and all those things, and how people can support that. So I know you have several different things, and I don't know if we'll be able to get to all of them. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut and let you keep going. So
yes,
get that time.
Some of the other things that should be incorporated in that care plan should be environmental modifications. If there's things that you need to do in the home, maybe you need to create a sensory corner. Maybe you need to have fidgets or things like that help serve as an outlet. A lot of times the sensory needs of our children are that they may need dimmed lights, they may need, something cuddly or warm,
Mm.
or a weighted blanket, something that comforts them throughout the day. So you want to make sure you have that as part of your plan. Also, just collaborating with others, not just yourself, but ask occupational therapists. They have access to those a lot of times in the school system. If you are on a wait list, say, you know what is it that I can do right now until,
Mm.
in the meantime, in between time, what can
Yeah.
I do? Then also look at health and safety. What do I need to do right now to keep my child safe? If your child deals with elopement, that means they may run off. What do I need to do? Do I need to put security motion detectors on the doors and windows? If those are needed, then how am I going to do that? What's going to be the best practice? Maybe starting with a low cost option, such as maybe an Alexa that, if they have issues with time management, teach them how to, tell Alexa, you need a minute timer. And she'll set the timer. And you
Yeah.
should see their faces light up as they feel like they are now in control of some things in their life.
Yeah.
So these are just a few to start with.
Yeah. No, those are great. And, kids are, and now in today's world, electronics is accepted across the board, right? And setting some goals and some excitement around that. And so now, but I just thought of something, and I don't know if it's part of where we're going, but help me out for a second with the dynamics of a family and or dual parent household or single parent household, but they have more than one child, and maybe it's one child that is winning in the battle of autism, and I put it out there as winning, and then the other ones don't. Um, how does that? How can parents not lose sight of the needs of the other children and then create a whole nother dynamic?
Yes, that
Yeah.
is a great point. Especially I had twins, so they're at different levels.
Yeah.
They're two different individuals. What is so important is that you promote each child and you
Mm.
promote the leadership and the abilities of each child individually. I always say, because a lot of times with me having twins, when I was dealing with educational systems or medical systems, they treated them like they were two of the same. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, they're on totally different ends. One likes chocolate, one likes vanilla. Don't put them together. So it is so important that you look and I know we talked about it yesterday. You figure out their love language. What is it
Mm.
that they need that makes them feel secure, that makes them feel like, hey, I matter? And it's as simple as asking them. If you can
Mm.
ask them, they'll tell you. If you say, "Hey, what's your favorite thing that, we can use as a reward system?" and let them be the leader in their life.
How do you build that relationship to where there's a level of trust and they feel comfortable doing that? Because I mean, initially, we're talking about some things that are really great, but initially, if you don't know how to communicate with your child,
Yes. Yeah.
right, and you want to do these things, and frustration goes on. What can you do to kind of just try? I mean, what are some things that, and this is part of the sensory environment, I think, so that
Yeah.
you'll dive more on. So
Yeah.
I know I said I was going to keep my mouth shut, but you just triggered some thoughts
Yeah.
around reality.
Yes. And the reality is that, you don't know. Children are born, they don't come with a manual that tells us what to do, how to do it. If the carburetor breaks down, this is what you do. So,
Right, right,
so
right,
you have
right.
to take it one day at a time, one step at a time. And, if they're verbal, then figure out a means of communication. One thing I had to do was I had to do sign language.
Mm.
And that's how we communicated to say, I want more to eat. Um, uh, Having a visuals in the home, visual cue cards, if they're unable to communicate verbally. But even something as simple as happy faces and sad faces. That's a
Mm.
communication means,
Yeah.
and them tapping and saying, this is what makes me happy. This is what doesn't make me happy. Look at their verbal and nonverbal cueing, whether it's a body movement, whether you start to see them more agitated in certain environments when you do certain activities, then kind of use that as your safeguard and saying, you know what, maybe I need to reduce down. Do I need to
Mm.
pull back? Is the movie theater too loud?
Yeah.
And say, you know what can we do? Can we do this at home? Can we watch this movie at home instead of
Yeah.
taking them out? So just use the common sense that
Mm.
God has given you and the intuition that he's given you, and go from there, and
Yeah.
be confident in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't help but say what I'm about to say. Common sense is not all that common anymore.
Yes. You read my mind.
Ooh, yeah. So, all right, yeah, I like that, and so we're talking about sensories and environment modification, health and safety. Well, what else can you hit in maybe the next 5 or 10 minutes before we
Yes.
wrap up?
Yes, again, part of that care plan is looking at their healthcare needs. Are there people we need to onboard? Do we need specialists? Do we need to have genetic testing done? Do we need to and let me stop there with genetic testing. It is so important because they have made advances in technology so that now they can look at, are there mutated genes? And this is not just for just that child, but should you decide to have more children or your children's children,
Mm.
why not know? Why not prepare so that they know that this is a possible indicator that this could happen on down the line? It is
Yeah.
so important. Then
Yeah.
the next thing we want to look at as part of that healthcare plan is, what is available within the healthcare system to help me help my child or
Yeah.
my adult with a disability. What accommodations do I possibly need within the school setting, within the medical setting? It's so important in the educational system that we have what's either called a 504 plan or an IEP. And I tell parents, that is your contract with the school. It's
Okay.
a legally binding contract that says these are the things that my child or children need in order to be successful. It is called an IEP. It is to be individualized, and
Mm.
you want it to cater to the needs of your child. So that is so important. And then finally, we want to make sure that we start looking at transition plans. So around 14 to 16, we want to start thinking about adulthood.
Mm.
We want to start thinking about, where is this child going to live? Who's going to
Yeah.
take care of them? Do they have the ability to live independently? If not, we want to start looking for assistance and how can we best serve their needs if they stay in the home, or if they're looking at independent living facilities or things like that. Don't just kick the can down the road. Think about it today, because
Yeah.
you will snap your fingers and they will be grown up. So
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
got to plan. So those are the things we want to do. And, again, care planning is so important. And then later on, we may talk about, estate planning and things like that are so important. What happens when you are no longer there?
Mm. And that's probably, and I'm going to ask you because you've lived this experience.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parents out there now that, that's all they can think about
Yes.
is that.
Yes. What's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Well, two things, I think, and from what I'm seeing, three really. What's going to happen? Can I do it? And the divorce part of it, the separation, the relationship component that is part of what we speak to in this part, right? It's part of the bigger picture with Comeback King Enterprises and their whole mission around from heartbreak to healing and pathways to extraordinary love and through children disabilities and all the other things. So Man.
That's good. And that's good what you're talking about, because even if parents are not together, you have to remember it is what's best for the child, not for you as the adult, but what is best for the child. So regardless of if you stay together, you're broken up, whatever, always keep that in mind and remember that your children are watching. You may not care for that other individual, they may not be doing, the right things, but I always think this way: my children are watching, and I can only do what is best for them.
Yeah.
So we have to put aside the negativity, and talking down on another parent or whatever, because I always use the word capacity. Some people have gallon size capacity. Some
Mm-hmm.
people only have pint size capacity. So
Right.
you can't hold someone hostage for only having pint size capacity.
No, I like that distinction, because and even the one that has the larger capacity range, everybody gets full,
That's right.
right? And, I mean, we all hit that level, and it's like, man, if there's just one more thing, I don't know. We all look at that in our lifetime, so it's really about
Yes.
all the way back to the beginning of what we talked about, being aware.
Mhm.
The awareness is, man, this is really a challenging, rewarding few days that you've had coming here and sharing this information, Tiffany, and looking forward to really kind of breaking it down. And I think we've got you planned for this weekend coming up. So, but it's one more short show tomorrow
Yes.
with was. Yeah, but I want to make sure, I know you went through these other ones, just kind of highlighting, and we'll be able to break these down more, because care planning,
Yes.
I mean, it's I'm aware now, right? I see the behaviors, but man, what the heck how do I care on a regular basis?
Yes. Yes.
And so I love how you structured the ABCs, and then before on Saturday you talked about the D's and behaviors and all that stuff around there. But what about is there any certain plan that comes to mind that you haven't mentioned yet that folks could maybe be aware of, may not be aware of?
Yeah.
Is there anything like that you can speak to?
Yes. Again, when we talk about what can you do right now today, the best plan you can do right now is to create something in your home, even if it's minimal, even if it's just a bulletin board where you put the times, what the expectations are, and one chore or activity that child's going to do, and then you're going to build from there. Again, we're not trying to have them be a nuclear physicist tomorrow. We're
Mm-hmm.
just trying to work on, I would say, the activities of daily living, because when we talk about no longer being present, we want to make sure that they are able to at least do those things.
Yeah,
And so you start that as young as you can, and then just continue to build from there.
yeah, I love that. So that sounds like a great place to stop and,
Yeah.
and end for today. And is there anything else that you can tell us around tomorrow, or any parting thoughts that you have in the next minute? Because I know
Yes.
it's.
Yes, I just want to say, we're going to talk about the D's, because there are a
Mhm.
lot of D's. Disappointment, despair, the diagnosis, all of those things we're going to talk about. But we don't want you to walk away feeling saddened, because I know what it is to sit in IEP meetings and be the only one that's there advocating for your child and their needs. And I know what it is, because a lot of parents, I've seen them crying in those meetings, or they feel the dreariness of having to go into those meetings, because all you're hearing is the negativity about your child. You
Mhm.
might hear, "Oh, Johnny's a nice kid," but then you're hearing all of this data about, well, they can't do this and they can't do this, and they're doing it at 5% or whatever. But what I would just say is, just continue to be determined to do your very best, and pour into them, but not only pour into them, find a place that will pour it back into you, a community such as what we're trying to create here, or look to your nonprofit organizations, your support groups that can help you help your child. And so again, I just want to say thank you to you. If nobody else tells you thank you for what you're doing, we appreciate the fact that you are a soldier and you are the one that's out here in the trenches taking care of children and loved ones that have special needs and special gifts. And so we thank you for being so faithful and trustworthy that God instilled you and gave you these children.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's it. That is, and they're lucky to have someone like you advocating for them. So
yes,
I want to say thank you again. Tomorrow, same times. Well, I don't know what times tomorrow. Have we lined out tomorrow's time? I can say it on the air. Do you have that?
6 o'clock your time. I think it's
okay. Yeah, 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So, Tiffany, thank you so much. Amazing as always, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Keep going.
That's what she said. Let's keep going, man. Let's also just I know it's a lot to digest. We've made an attempt to break it down so that it's not overwhelming. We didn't want to do a fire hose approach to all of this stuff. I love the ABCs, the awareness, the behavioral piece, and then the care planning, and some of the highlights of each one of those categories. But I want you to put on your calendar for this Saturday. We're going to deep dive into these ABCs a little more and give you some real tools that, and maybe even those of you who have some questions, take some time to answer some questions, and also a space where if you want to bring some questions, some concerns that you've had, some experiences that you've had, some successes that you've had, that we want you to feel comfortable with that. And that's going to be on Saturday at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock Central Time. And so we'll hear more information about that. So let's continue to show Tiffany the love and just know that if you're all by yourself, you're not, right? We want you to go take that stinking thinking from isolation into a community that believes in you, will be there for you, and help you reset, refocus, and re-engage in this thing called life, and stand in the comeback, find your grace and your strength, right? And no longer see the limitations, but see that there's people out here that are willing to help you, and you can do this thing. So let's do this thing together, right? So as always, around Comeback King Enterprises and Conversations with Jeff, we want you to tell you the comeback starts right now, right? It is no longer a limitation, but it's a lifestyle of strength, courage, and community. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central Time. Have a great Thursday. Go Houston. March Madness. All right, guys, take care. Have a great day. We thank you so much. Bye-bye.